Hello amateurs, and happy new year 2022. Here we go. Just a little update here from the Amateur Rugby Podcast and a New Year's episode. Now, some of you may know that one of my favourite podcasters is Adam Buxton, and frankly I feel like I'm completely ripping him off now because, you know, I always do my intros wandering around like he does. But I've even got a dog with me today. My dog friend Poppy is going to be with me for this intro and outro to this podcast episode. So welcome, Poppy. How was your New Year's Eve? Mine was fairly quiet, uneventful. Bit of a change from recent years, to be fair. Here in Dorset, and doing the intro today from the beautiful Ringwood Forest. There goes Poppy again, flying by. So I hope if you had a few beers, maybe down the rugby club, maybe with rugby friends, then I hope your head's not too bad today as I'm recording this on New Year's Day. And how was your 2021? Pretty bumpy ride for most of us, I think, and that certainly can be said for the Amateur Rugby Podcast as well. First 6 months, no episodes whatsoever. Didn't really fancy recording them over Zoom. It's a bit difficult for me really with my situation, trying to find reliable internet to do that on a regular basis. Then it was on to the Great Rugby Run, which was a phenomenal experience, and I met a ton of people there, and my intention was to record a load of in-person interviews whilst I was on the run, you know, on the evenings and things like that, but it just didn't feel like the right time. I was exhausted obviously after the running, and quite a lot of the time it felt wrong to turn on the microphones and try to record a podcast interview. There were a load of people that I'd have dearly loved to have recorded episodes with for you guys, but yeah, it just didn't feel like the right time. You know, a couple of people in particular, Nelly Bayliss down in Cornwall, and Steve Pape, who I spent a bit of time with during the Great Rugby Run. But yeah, it was just good to catch up with old friends, and I didn't really want to turn the mics on. I'll get back to them one day, I'm sure, and we'll record some episodes because there are a ton of interesting people that I met on the Great Rugby Run. But what I did get on the Great Rugby Run was a load of club visits. So I went and people showed me around their clubhouses and told me stories about their clubs and the people in them. But we'll get back to that in a minute. I'd also hoped to record a load of episodes pre-Christmas. I was due to meet up with a friend in Madrid, but travel complications put paid to that. I spent 4 days at a wedding in Ireland just before Christmas with friends from Amateur Rugby Club, and again it just didn't feel like the right time. It was a social time, so it felt wrong to turn on the microphones, and you know, maybe that's something I need to get over in the future if I'm going to be an ongoing podcaster, but we'll see. So anyway, the upshot is I've got no full interviews recorded at the moment. Then also I had planned to do some around Christmas and New Year here in the UK. I had a load of people lined up, but as I'm sure everyone's aware, the COVID situation is really not great at the moment, and I didn't want to be traveling around and meeting a lot of people. I know people, for whatever reason, and there's lots of different reasons, are very sensitive about this at the moment, and I am too. So it didn't feel right to be traveling around and recording episodes. So that leaves me in the situation where I've got no episodes recorded for the coming year at the start of 2022, which is disappointing. It's not where I expected to be, but I've come up with a plan. So, as I mentioned, the clubhouse tours, they were really good fun, getting out and meeting rugby people across the nation. And I've been putting them out on YouTube recently, a couple every week, and they've been really popular. People seem to enjoy either seeing the characters from their own club or looking in at other clubs across the country and see how they do things. And I've realised that there's a ton of stories in there and there's a ton of good content. So what I'm going to do each week is I'm going to cherry pick the best moments from all of those clubhouse visits with the characters and put together a show. Each week it'll probably be shorter, maybe about half an hour in length, of all the nice little bits from each club, one of the 104 clubs that I visited this summer. And it's going to be called the Stories From series. and it'll probably include 2 or 3 clubs in each episode. And I just think it's a lovely way to get little bite-sized stories, bits of information, some club history in there, you know, what clubs are really proud about, what their players, past players, things like that, what people get up to on away trips and club traditions, all that kind of good stuff that's part of the rugby fabric. So look, it's not what I planned, but if COVID's taught us anything, it's the need to be flexible, adaptable. So I'd love to know what you think when these episodes start coming out from next week. The stories from the clubs across the country, from the Amateur Rugby Podcast. You can let me know on email, hello@amateurrugbypodcast.com, or on the socials. Just search your Amateur Rugby Podcast across all of those platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and make sure you get onto YouTube as well, because if you enjoy the stories from the podcast, then you can see the full chat, the whole thing, over on YouTube. And obviously then you'll be able to see the clubs as well and see the people. So yeah, if you enjoy that and you're on YouTube and you like it, then please give it a subscribe as well. Recommend it to friends if you can. So anyway, that's it from me. Just a quick update to let you know what to expect from the Amateur Rugby Podcast in the first half of 2022. I've got to take Poppy back now. Another muddy walk today, so that means shower time, which she absolutely hates. But you know, it's that or a dirty house, and I'm house sitting at the moment, so I'm afraid Poppy's going to have to go in the shower. Oh well, these are the breaks for a nice long walk in the countryside. So as I said, yes, I'm in the UK at the moment, but I'll be back on the road next week. Regular listeners will know that I live a nomadic lifestyle, and I like to keep you updated with where I am and what I'm up to. But does that interest you? I mean, I'll stop if it's boring or something else or whatever. I'd love to hear feedback if you have any. But until I do, I'll keep going, because I quite enjoy doing it, to be honest. Muddy bit here. Poppy's negotiated that without any issue whatsoever. Might be a bit more difficult for a 17 stone former prop forward. Let's see how we go. Ooh, up here. Yeah, it's definitely wet foot alley through here. Ooh, squelch. There we go. Made it safe and sound, thank goodness. So anyway, have a great 2022, and until next time, remember, get out and play.